At the very beginning of the Gospels, God sent a messenger to the humblest of servants to bring Jesus into a corrupt culture, a culture obsessed with death. The story referenced here is the Annunciation, the event in which Gabriel the Angel is sent by God to the Blessed Virgin Mary to bring Jesus, the Savior, into the world. It would only be fitting then that God would send Mary to the poor but humble Juan Diego to bring Jesus to a culture in Mexico that was obsessed with the human sacrifice of infants. The event in which Mary spoke with Juan Diego is known as Our Lady of Guadalupe and is highlighted by an image of the Blessed Mother late in her pregnancy, about to deliver Mexico from the grasp of sin. Canonized in July of 2002, Juan Diego became the first native saint from the Americas. He was born in Mexico in 1474. His father died 3 years after his birth, and he was raised in the Aztec religion. When he was 50 years old, 12 Franciscan missionaries came to Mexico. Juan and his wife Maria soon converted to Catholicism. Juan was on fire for his faith and would travel many miles on foot to learn about his faith at the Franciscan missionary. In 1529, Juan Diego's wife passed away, but he continued his faithfulness to God. 2 years later, in early December, Juan was on his way to celebrate the Immaculate Conception. He was stopped by a beautiful woman who told him she was the ever-perfect Holy Mary, who has the honor to be the mother of the true God. In the time of this apparition, Mexico was mostly Aztec, and their false gods required human sacrifice. Every year, thousands of people were killed in rituals to these gods, and most of them were babies and children. Mary told Juan to talk to the local bishop and build a chapel on the site of a former Aztec temple. When Juan Diego spoke to the bishop with the request, the bishop didn't initially believe him. Mary appeared to Juan again, and during this apparition, he suggested that she choose a different person for her mission. He told Mary he wasn't up to the task because he wasn't an important person. She refuted him and said that he was the person she wanted for the task. Juan went back to the bishop, and this time, the bishop wanted proof that the apparition was actually from heaven. Mary appeared to Juan Diego once again and said she would give him the proof he needed on the next day. Unfortunately, Juan Diego's uncle became very ill, and he had to stay home to care for him. He went out the next day after that to get a priest to anoint his uncle. On his journey, he avoided the site of the other apparitions because he felt shame for not meeting her on the previous day. Mary found him anyway and asked him what was wrong. He told her about his uncle's health and said he would return once he found a priest. She told him not to worry and said his uncle would be cured. Then the Blessed Mother had a strange request. She asked him to pick some roses, even though it was in the middle of the winter. Juan Diego was obedient and found so many flowers he needed to use his tilma, his cloak, to carry them. Mary told Juan to take the flowers to the bishop as a sign that she was real. As Juan approached the bishop, he opened his cloak and the flowers fell to the ground. The bishop stared at the empty tilma. It was no longer plain. There was a miraculous image of Mary imprinted upon it. The very next day, Juan went to his uncle. The Virgin Mary had appeared to his uncle as well, and he was fully healed. Mary had related once again that she wanted a church built on the hill where the former Aztec temple had been. Mary also requested to be called Guadalupe, which translates to the one who crushes the serpent. Soon after the miracle of the tilma happened and the church was built, 6 million Mexicans converted to Catholicism. As a result, the Aztec religion, with its culture of death, was undermined. Saint Juan Diego remained faithful until the humble servant went to meet his Creator face to face.